Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Sabbath. Once again, we're having another AY program. And this afternoon, we're looking at coping with diabetes. Now, it's safe for me to assume that most of us in here are acquainted with diabetes. A friend may have it. We've heard about it on the television. We've listened to speakers who talk about it. We've been to the hospitals. And so many of us have heard the term diabetes. So this afternoon, we want to look at it, unpack it a little bit, and to see how we can cope. Those of us who have it, those who do not have it, see how we can cope together. Now, we have this afternoon, and I will allow them to introduce themselves.
I am Shanice Smith, a registered nurse.
Modran Bernard.
I'm Nicola Waite, a registered nurse.
And while names are going out, I am Joan Dixon. Most people know me. And I am one of the nurses in this church. Now, the intention this afternoon is to create awareness. Awareness, know what causes blood sugar to fluctuate, and help to guide in some coping strategies so that we can better aid individuals, ourselves, or relatives, those who are listening to us online, to deal with better management on a day-to-day basis. Now, we want to start off with a definition of diabetes. So most people, when you ask them, what is diabetes, they say sugar. Yeah? And it's a group of conditions. So I'm reading this definition that I got from the Internet Mayo Clinic. It's a group of conditions where the body cannot produce enough or any insulin, cannot properly use the insulin that is produced, or a combination of both. So number one, you don't produce any at all. And number two, you produce but not enough, and you cannot manage. What is produced cannot manage the blood sugar or the starches in our system. Now, insulin is a hormone that allows your body's cells to absorb the sugar in your bloodstream. So I'll say that again so that it sinks in. Those who didn't know, insulin is a hormone that allows your body's cells to absorb sugar in your bloodstream. And then after that sugar is absorbed, it is used as energy in the body. Now, if you don't have insulin, or if your body is resisting insulin, this will cause a buildup of your blood sugar, which will cause, obviously, health problems. Now, if your body remains high for an extended period, your kidneys will not work so well. In fact, they'll be overworked, because what a kidney does is filter and remove excess glucose. So that's what the kidney does. So the kidney, those who have diabetes, what your kidney have to do is do some extra work when your blood sugar is gone up. Am I right about that, Shanice? All right. Let's give you a little bit more tip. Now, when your sugar is gone up, then what happens is that your lips get dry, your skin gets dry, even your eyes get dry. And that's an indication of the D word. Anybody out there know what the D word is? Yes, great. Dehydration. So the kidney is overworked. The blood sugar is gone up. When the blood sugar goes up, then dehydration sets in, and we are sitting on a problem. Now, a lot of us do not drink a lot of fluids. So if you don't replace the fluids, what will eventually happen? Anybody out there? Yes, and dehydration can lead to what? You know, it can lead to death. Older people can die as a result of dehydration. In other words, drink a lot of non-sugar juice or less sugar, right? Because if you drink the sugar juice, guess what is going to happen? You're going to have more concentration in the blood, and yes, you're going to have dehydration to the enough power. All right? Okay, so now I want to incorporate all my colleagues here. What are the numbers like for persons with diabetes in your area? So Shanice works at the hospital, she's worked on the medical ward, and she's all over the hospital. Marjorie works in the old people's home. All right? So she has worked with a lot of elderly persons, right? Okay, geriatrics. She works with the geriatrics. Better word, right? And Nicola also works in the hospital, and she works in the clinic. Now, we want to make it real this afternoon, because a lot of time we listen to the thoughts being shared, and we listen to more thoughts being shared, but most times it's not close to home. You're listening on the radio, you're just hearing somebody talking. So all of us are going to talk together. We'll have the roving mic as well. So the question is, tell us, what do you see in your area? So I want you to tell me about, in your area where you work, you tell me about the geriatrics, and you tell me about what you see in the clinic. So we start with...
All right.
Go.
So in the hospital, well, currently, I'm working at A&E, Accident and Emergency. So persons will come in unresponsive. When you check the sugar level, it's about 0 or it's about 1 point something. And you have to quickly give sugar, glucose, 50% glucose to bring up back the sugar to bring them to responsiveness. Also, there are persons who come in, the sugar is very, very high. Why? They're not taking the medication. It's mango season now. You're going to be eating a lot of mangoes, or let's say it's Christmas season, they have to eat rice, they have to eat the cake, they have to drink all the cereal. They have to be indulging in all of the things and not thinking about their health, then coming to hospital expecting us to work a miracle. Right? And then they come not taking the medication and they expect to get the medication, they go back out and the cycle continues. So that's what we're seeing in hospital. It's either they're not taking the medication or they take too much of the medication, not eating afterwards, and the sugar go right down.
Thank you. Go ahead, Marjorie.
As Shanice says that they will take too much of the medication. Sometimes you give them the medication and they appear as if they take the medication. But as soon as you're gone, they throw it away. So, you know, when you think that you are helping them with medication, you are not, because they are not taking it. But there are other ways that we use in our homes by their diet and even the sunlight, and as Joan has said earlier on, the drinking of the water, and we give them more watery fruits and so forth. So when they get the natural things, so some of them will tell you, nurse, I don't want to take the medication, I prefer the natural things. So you know that their diet is a key thing, and the whole lifestyle. So you have to monitor their carbohydrates and all of that.
Thank you. Nicola, tell us what you see in the clinic.
Okay, in my case, there are times we have patients with low blood glucose levels. They come there maybe for a while, They haven't eaten. They try to come to the clinic early in the morning. They haven't eaten. Some of them took their insulin and have not eaten. The insulin needs food to work on. So therefore, the sugar gets too low. They become either confused, unresponsive, sweaty, things like that. We have to quickly intervene, give them some high levels of glucose quickly, and then we'll transfer them to the and maybe a continuous infusion, and then we'll transfer them to the emergency care area. And we see cases where persons come in as well with eye problems, eye diseases because of glucose damage to the blood vessels. It causes microvascular damage, blood vessel damage, nerve damage. You find persons with eye diseases because of it, and we have to treat them there. Also, you have diabetic foot a lot. Persons get damaged, they get the diabetes, the long, continuous poor management of their blood glucose levels cause nerve damage, blood vessel damage. So you have that. Some of them can't even feel their foot that well, and they further from their heart, they can't. The feelings may decrease a lot, and some of them maybe step on a nail or something. They're not checking their foot regularly. They don't know until it starts to fester and a bigger problem develops. Then you see they come into the emergency area, and then they'll be followed up at the clinic area. Some of them have poor wound healing because of the poor management of their blood sugar levels. So you find that they have this diabetic ulcer for a prolonged period. And because of the vascular damage as well, it helps to slow down the healing, it worsens the problem. The sugar continuously not being managed over time, because it's a whole host of problems. And even heart problems. Some of them come in with heart problems because of this poor management of their blood sugar level over time. So we treat a myriad of cases in the clinic area we see where that has derived from a poor management of their blood glucose levels.
Thank you. I hope we heard all of that. So I'm just going to reiterate a few things. Now, from Shanice's perspective, she speaks to what actually comes into A&E. Nicola mentions when they're over in the clinic and they have issues, and the long list of issues that she listed, when they leave from there, they end up over Shanice. I hope you're watching the cycle. In the homes with the geriatrics, if they are unable, obviously, to treat them in the homes, where do they end up? Over Shanice.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So we already see the overload. All right? Now, one of the things we want to do here this afternoon is to help our members here who have diabetes to cope with it. Now, we heard about cuts and sores and stepping on nails and not protecting the feet. We heard about change of diet. Now, people do not readily change their diet, snap of the finger. One of the hardest things to do for me is not to eat bread and butter. I mean, I grew up on bread and butter for every meal. Morning, noon, and evening. And I find that sweet. So what I do, in order not to eat a lot of bread and butter, well, what I did before September was, if I buy a bread, then I don't buy a bread until another, month. So I could do that because I'm by myself. But now, sometimes I'm with some of my families and there is bread there. There is no way since September that I cannot not eat any bread and butter. All right, so what we're going to do now is we want to get it. No, I'm not going into all the details of what diabetes is and how you get diabetes. I think we have all of that information. We have all of that information out there. We have heard it said over and over and over. What I am going to do is, at this moment, we are going to look at the types of diabetes, and then I'm going to get some persons who have first-hand experience, not the nurses, first-hand experience, to share with us their experience, and then we look at areas that we can help them to cope. Is that okay with everybody? Yes. All right. So we're going to look at diabetes and the types there are. So there are 3 types. Shanice, you want to share one type with us?
All right, so we have 3 types. Type 1. Type 1 is autoimmune, which means that the pancreas, which produces insulin cells, the immune system attack the pancreas. So it does not produce insulin at all. So your body, in type 1, person with type 1 diabetes, the body does not produce insulin at all. So that is why those persons are placed on insulin when they come to the hospital. So doctor, instead of some persons will be on medication like pills and so on, those are type 2 persons. A person with type 1, they are placed on insulin for the rest of their lives to manage their glucose level.
Thank you so much. And a lot of persons that have type 1 are the kids and youth. Yeah, kids and youth.
Mainly juveniles.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Type 2, you see a lot of type 2 in your facility. Yes. And you see a lot of type 2 in the clinic as well. So in your facility, you have type 2 diabetics. So they're the geriatrics. Go ahead, tell us a bit.
Okay, so the geriatrics, so you can control their diabetes because we will use more medication and, as I said, food, their old diet, their old lifestyle to control that. Because you find out if you cut down on their carbohydrates and so forth, give them the right proportion, then that too, and some of them are overweight, so you work on that, and that's helped too to bring the blood sugar to a normal rate.
Okay, so type 2 persons tend to be, we sit around, we sit at desks, we don't exercise, we have a lot of weight, like Marjorie said. So that brings on, in itself, a problem. Number 1, you're overweight. We take that hand in a minute. You're overweight. And people who have excessive weight, it's a challenge to get rid of weight. So learning curve right here. We have to, before we get a lot of weight on, is that Rain? Before we get a lot of weight on, a lot of weight on, we have to start controlling our, Marjorie mentioned diet. We have to start controlling our diet and start thinking of joining the exercise class that we're having here in the evening so that we have more activities. I hope you can hear clearly because we're having a challenge on the roof, which is a good challenge. All right. Now we have one more kind of diabetes. Go ahead.
All right, so we have also gestational diabetes, and this is diabetes in pregnancy. So women pregnant, they normally have diabetes. That's basically it. So it may sometimes it go away after giving birth, but during pregnancy, it's called gestational diabetes. You can have diabetes.
All right, and before we get our testimonials, we're going to look at some of the symptoms. So, unmanaged diabetes will include a number of symptoms. So, we have excessive sweating, we go around the
excessive
table.
thirst, they want to eat a lot.
You may urinate a lot.
Yes.
And
You're hungry.
You get hungry a lot. You get thirsty because you're urinating a lot. The body has a system that defends itself when it feels like it's under attack. It's coming out of the normal mode of operation. It will bring up a defense. So it's defense to the blood sugar, the blood stream being too highly loaded with sugar, glucose. It will try to kick it out of the body. So it tries to do that by flushing it out with your urine. So with the sugar, in your urine rather, so with the sugar will go the water, and therefore you urinate a lot because you're losing so much water that you're taking in, you become very thirsty, so the thirst rate increase. You also get very hungry because the body needs sugar in the cells for energy. And because it's in the bloodstream instead of the cells, because you either don't have enough insulin to put it in, like in the type 2 or even the type 1, or you have insulin resistance, so the body is not responding to the insulin produced. So the sugar is in the bloodstream instead of in the cells where it can be used as energy. So you become weak, you become very hungry because the body is saying, eat, I need some food for energy, I need some food for energy, but it's in the bloodstream. It's not in the cells where it can be used as energy. So therefore you're going to eat more, which is going to continue the cycle, load up your bloodstream with the sugar and stuff like that. All right, so your bloodstream will become heavily loaded with sugar because it's not going into your cells where you can benefit and get it as energy. So the body needs the energy to function. So it's going to say, I need some food, so I'm going to get very hungry. You eat some more, your bloodstream gets loaded more, still not going in. Things like that, you become weak because you don't have the energy, the food to give you the energy. So things like that, so you need to get the sugar levels managed with your medication, exercise, diet, whatever it is that your doctor prescribes.
Thank you, Nicola. So the rain is, I don't know if we're hearing clearly. The rain is giving us a little competition. Yep. One of the other things that happens is that our skin becomes dry and itchy. Yes? Older people, because older people don't drink much in the first place, their skin are generally dry and itchy. And if you rub them too hard, when you're bathing them, it will break.
And
yes?
sometimes you have what we call yeast infections coming from that too. You know, and you can also get not just the skin, so in the genital hairs you will get that itchiness and that redness sometimes. So that is one of the symptoms too. Also you can get blurry eyes too because the sugar level is up.
Just to reiterate Marjorie's point, so older people can end up with urinary tract infection. She was saying that old people will get yeast infection and other infection. Not that they're having sex with somebody in the homes, but because of the lack of fluid. Now, water is all over your body. Your brain is 70+%. Your whole system is 70+. You need lubricants in your vaginal area. You need lubricant for feces. So if you have diabetes, it's a whole set out of complication you have when it is controlled. I don't know if we're seeing the connection. Just a minute, Nicole. So we have to see the connection this evening. If you have sugar that is uncontrolled, then it affects a host of things. Not only your pancreas, not only the places that you think it affects, but it also affects you socially. You begin to smell. You begin to smell too, right? And people around you don't want to smell. It impacts upon your financial standing because you're going to have to spend more money to go to hospital over and over. You end up with cuts and sores, and if you get a little bruise, it takes a long time to heal. Again, another complication that we don't really look at holistically, because sometimes we just, oh, your blood sugar high, go take your pill. But there are other issues. It affects your eyes as well. Now, I know there is someone in the audience who wants to make a point, but before you make the point, before we get the roving mics out, we're going to take a song here, and then we're going to have two testimonials after which we will do questions. At this point, we'll ask Sister Sterling to come forward. Sorry, Brother Karen Russell.
From the dust of the earth, my God created man. His breath made man a living soul. And I cannot deny it. I will always walk beside him, for I was born to serve the Lord. I was made in his likeness, created in his image, for I was born to serve the Lord. And I cannot deny it. I will always walk beside him, for I was born to serve the Lord. My hands were made to help my neighbors. My eyes were made to read God's word and to walk in his footsteps. And my body is the temple of the Lord. See, I was made in his likeness, created in his image, for I was born to serve the Lord. And I cannot deny him. I will always walk beside him, for I was born to serve the Lord.
Thank you, Brother Russell. We were born to serve the Lord. And we want to have fit bodies and well bodies so we can serve the Lord in the best way possible. For those who are just joining online, we are looking at coping with diabetes. And we're at the point where we're going to have a testimonial shared with us. And I do ask Sister Roxanne to come forward and join us here as she shares with us her experience with diabetes. Thank you, Antonio. All right, thank you, Roxanne. No, Roxanne has been a member of this church for umpteen years, right, Roxanne? We're coming from far. For those of us who know us. And Roxanne developed diabetes, and what I'm going to do is just let her share with us. I won't prompt her because sometimes people just want to say what's on their mind. If she does need any prompting, I'm right here. So we're going to listen to what she has to say as someone who has been there and is still there.
Okay, good evening, AY. Okay.
Good evening.
All right, so I developed diabetes as a 6. So, I was told that after having a baby, then it should go away. That didn't happen. I guess I ate more than I should. So, ate the wrong things, so it didn't go away. But I wasn't so much educated at that time about it. And then, I just continue eating and eat everything that is bad. I never really had a serious problem until 2010 when I came back to Montego Bay. So I found out that my father had diabetes, so I started reading up about it and learning what to eat and how to cope with it. So it wasn't so bad because I had to cook the food for my father, so I would sit and eat with him for him to eat. So I didn't really have a serious issue until he lost his second leg. It just started getting bad, and then I was put on medication, and from one medication to another, because the first one didn't work and the sugar was just not being controlled. And doctors, they will try all the medications in the book. I'm still struggling because it is still not controlled. And currently, I'm having serious issues because one, my liver is enlarged. It's supposed to be 7 point something and it's at 19. So it's very big, right? I've also lost sight in one of my right eye. So if you see me going up the stairs and somebody holding on to me, yes, because I really can't see. So it's really a struggle. I'm not eating properly. I'm not consistent in taking my medications because I just think that, and this is my mind, I just think that if I take the medication today, it will work for 2 or 3 days. So I'll try to eat properly for those 2 and 3 days. And then I take the medication again. But that is just a bad concept. That is just me being don't care. But really and truly, the medication helps, eating right helps, and exercise. I hear that every time. Amal tells me all the time, walk, you need to exercise. 30 minutes. You have such a beautiful hill. I have to climb like umpteen stairs to reach to my office, and I only go up once in the morning and come back down in the evening. I have no other reasons to come down. But it is best to eat properly and to exercise because it helps even if you're not taking the medication, but you are on a healthy diet, which will help, and the exercise, which will help. So I'm a delinquent patient, and I need your prayers to help me to work on it, because diabetes is no joke. It's no joke. I've lost sight, and it's hard. It's hard when you don't have any help. But if you all know that I'm alone, no kids around me right now, so it's really, really hard. And even even traveling downtown, I'm walking and I'm bouncing into people. I didn't see them. You know, sometimes you sense that there's somebody coming. I have to turn 360 degrees to see if there was actually somebody coming behind me. I don't see you. And I'm walking into people and I say, sorry. Because honestly, I'm not seeing you. And, you know, it's really serious, you know, so diabetes is no joke.
Thank you. No, you have been very brave to come here and to speak to the whole world and to let us understand that diabetes, like she said, I'll say what she said, is no joke. I mean, okay, I have diabetes. So I was sharing with Shanice earlier that I know so many persons who have diabetes. My grandmother had diabetes. My uncle had diabetes. My auntie who died yesterday had diabetes. My cousin has diabetes. There are so many people that I know who have diabetes. I don't have diabetes, okay? But we just take some things for granted. So I thought if you heard the real deal, and if you could listen to somebody who is brave enough, thank you, to come up and share with us, we would speak to ourselves, like Marjorie had mentioned earlier on, that with the geriatrics that she takes care of, they also do diet adjustments. That's one of the critical things that Roxanne said. We have to try to eat properly. No, the Seventh-day Adventist Church, Shanice, has the health message, right? We have the health message sitting on it, and we ignore it. We don't do anything about it. We don't do anything with it. We don't do anything for it. It doesn't do anything for us until we get to some chronic stage in our experience, and then we try, well, you know, we must try all the times, but we wait until then to make changes. Now, I'm going to piggyback on something that Roxanne said, and I want to see if you guys can relate it to your experience. Eating is something that I like. Right, Roxanne? No, for some of us, we eat because it comforts us. You're comforted because you don't know what else to do. You have a problem. If you have a diabetic problem, one of the things that, I did a survey once, and one of the things that happens is that people just eat because they refuse to believe that they have diabetes, number one.
Sometimes they are stressed out as to how
to manage it.
Yes, so to cope with this disease now.
So let me ask a question here. In your experience, when you share meals for your patients, right? Or they get meals from the kitchen. In your experience, when you give the apportioned amount that they're supposed to get, when you give it to them, are they satisfied with it?
Sometimes they are not, so they will ask for more. And sometimes, let's say you give them rice and you give them their vegetables, and maybe for some people, you give them, say a piece of chicken.
Yes.
Then, and so forth. They sometimes, in most cases, they don't ask for more vegetable. They are going to ask for more rice.
Okay,
yes.
So, yes, thank you. So the tendency is it's a thing that we grew up with. Most time we don't have enough protein anyway. Yeah? We don't have enough meat. So we get a piece of watchman and whole heap of starch. So it is something that has been inculcated in us from childhood. But we're here today. I mean, we have been here, and we've been looking at this thing to help each other to break that cycle.
All right. Also, a lot of us think, diabetes persons I'm talking, think that, okay, so I'm going to eat this, and then I'm going to take the medication after, I'm going to take the insulin, and then that will get the sugar down. But it honestly doesn't work that way.
So I'm glad Roxanne brought that up because I was gonna go straight into that. All right? So let's go in there, Shanice. A lot of people, you know them. You all know them. So we like to eat a lot of food, not that we need it, but our minds, we're so used to it that we eat a large plate, rice, yam, banana, anything that is going, we want it on the plate. How do you help somebody like that? How can we help each other in that regard?
All right. Before I answer that question, everything starts from the home, right? So children are coming out with diabetes. We're not expecting children, babies to have diabetes. Those are older person's conditions. As I said, they start in the home. So when you're buying food for your child or your children, don't give them mostly sugar bun and bun and cheese tricks and all those things. Give them an apple, give them a banana, give them some water. You have juices in store that you buy, Switzerland, those things are full of sugar, just sugar and water. Those things are not healthy. If you can blend juices, and you don't necessarily have to put sugar in the juice. The natural sugar in the fruits, they are good. You can blend the fruits and put a little bit of water in there, or enough water to make the juice, right? And put it in a bottle, freeze it, or you can even use and make popsicles. Get the popsicle containers and make popsicles and give it to the children instead of giving them all the sugary things that will aid in them to give them diabetes in the future. Because as I said, it starts from the home and they start to eat like that growing up. They go continue until they're older and they say, oh, not never wrong with my mother, not never wrong with my father. My grandmother have diabetes and she still live now, whatever. No. It's every diabetes, I'll take the hand afterwards. Diabetes, sometimes it's not like, as you get older, as Roxanne said, it damages you. When you have too much sugar in your body, it damages your kidney, your brain, your eyes, your skin, every part of you, because that sugary, thick blood is going through your body, and sometimes it even damages your heart. It does even give you hypertension, high blood pressure. So having high blood sugar can lead to high blood pressure. So you have to watch what you eat, and I say start in the home. In eating now, Auntie Joan question, if you normally eat 5 dumplings, eat 3 the next day until they continue to reach down to 1 or a half. Eat more fruits and vegetables. And as I go on fruits, being a diabetic, you cannot eat 10 mangoes. That send up your sugar. You have to do things in moderation. Half a mango or half a banana or half of this, half of that. You have to do things in moderation or none at all. Drink a lot of water. Flush out your body, flush out the system. Yes, drink a lot of water, natural things. The processed foods are not good. White rice, white bread, all those things are not good. Stick to the whole grains and the natural things. Those are better for you. And even too in the hospitals, I must say, when we send the list to the dietary department, sometimes they come back with bread and sardine. That's it. Sometimes look a tomato or look a cucumber on the side. And then they're not going to want that. So they call their relatives, oh, the food not tastes good, I'm gonna like this, I'm gonna carry this big bowl of soup with yam, banana. You can't eat all those things at once. Yes, they are good, but in moderation. You have to remember moderation in everything.
So one of the main focus here to help with the problems of diabetes is dieting. No, I want to spend some time on that. The microphone will be going around in a moment. How then? So I like all of the suggestions, the guides that Shanice gave. So I'm looking at you. How do you think we, all of us here, as a church, can help to make this difference or this change? For example, Don, you eat 4 dumplings, right? But you have great, high metabolic rate because Don remains skinny all the time. Don exercises? Not really. He drink a lot of water, but he has obviously a high metabolic rate, right? Now, for a person like me, well, I won't eat 5 dumplings. One time, maybe long time. But how do we buddy up and help each other within the church? So we've had sessions where we've decided that we're going to have water drive, we're going to have fruit drive. We've had some of those. We could go back to that. What about in our Sabbath school classes? We could have 5-minute sessions or some time to talk. I think when we talk more intimately and more close up, we get a lot done than when we're at the microphone and sending out all this information. True or false? I believe that. So in order for us to help to change and to cope and to help Roxanne here, we have to be closer home. True or false?
True. And Auntie Joan, even today, because it's also good to have friends and friends that, when they tell you that you're doing something wrong, you don't, vex with them or quarrel. Even today, Venice and Mona and Amma, they were talking about me and my diabetes and how stubborn I am. Even, the things that the doctor said to me, even since they said, but Roxanne, me talk to you about that. I talk to you about the walking and, the exercise and what you eat. But I'm saying, I have a serious problem because even just to take the medication, that's a challenge. Just for me to swallow 1 tablet, I gag. I spit it out so many times, but I can't throw it away because it's so expensive. But it's really a challenge. And, I said to them that, it's easy for you to say this and to say for me to do this, but to actually do it, it's really a challenge. It is really a challenge. I don't have food craving. I don't have food craving because my appetite is out of whack. I don't crave for food and I'm not like hungry every minute and want to eat something every minute. If I start eating now, that's it. But then I'm told to eat small portions, more time for the day. I can't eat like that. I can't eat like that. So that's also another challenge because my sugar would be down this morning, and by midday, it's all the way up, and I'm like, so what did I eat? I didn't really eat anything, but it's all the way up. And then, I don't realize that it is up. So I'll be going, and I'm fine, but yeah, the sugar is very, very high.
So here, I'm hearing a few things, all right? So we tell and we say, do this or do that, no? Well, you have go to our house and say, all right, come, here I am, let's go for a walk. So we need to do some of that sometimes with people, with our own, right? So let's walk together this evening, or we're gonna sit and have this meal together, so that obviously she's not gonna have all of that rice and all of that food. And another thing, you need to eat on time. So that's one of the problems I find, that a lot of diabetics, they do not eat on time. And so you give your body more problems because
it's going to store the food because it doesn't know when you are going to get another meal. So because of that, it is going to store the food instead.
All right, so there you go. So we're looking for solutions to cope or help our brothers and sisters, our family members cope. There are little things that all of us can do to help. Yes, ma'am, you wanted to make a comment earlier on, and I don't know if you have a question.
Yes, I wanted to ask a question. I believe
I believe Shanice explained what type 1 diabetes was, and she explained what gestational diabetes was, but I don't believe she explained what diabetes 2 or that one was. Yes.
Okay. Type 2 diabetes. Either the pancreatic cells do not produce adequate insulin to break down your food into energy. To break down, okay. Yeah, it's either the pancreatic cells do not produce adequate insulin to break down your glucose, to push your glucose rather into the cells for energy, or it is that you're having glucose resistance, insulin resistance rather. So the insulin is produced, but the cells of the body are not responding appropriately to that insulin. So you still have the blood sugar levels being high, and it's not being pushed into the cells where they are used for energy. So you wind up with a high glucose level nonetheless.
You got that one? That's clear. Okay. All right. I have another question. Can we get another mic as well? Somebody could do left and somebody do right. Go ahead, Trey.
Yes. I can remember clearly my if there's a word as ex-mother-in-law, she had sugar. And she went to the doctor like 3 weeks before an incident take place between my ex-wife and her my deceased wife. All right, former wife. And what had happened, this is very important. She had sugar, and she was upset with me, and she said I'm not to come back there, and I did not go back there. And she could not live without me going back there. About 3 weeks after, when she went to the doctor, just as how her eyes are going dim, her eyes was going dim, and the pressure was way up and the sugar was high. And the doctor told her that she is to come back like the second week. She called my wife, deceased wife, and said what the doctor said, and she's begging us to come back, and she had begged me please to come with her. So when I went there, I told her that she's to come up at the house. And we took her up at the house to live. And when she came, she went back to the doctor the 2 weeks after. The doctor asked her, what has she done? Only to find out the change of places and what happened between her and I. She never knew my arms would be open up to take her back in. So when I took her back in, the stress was all gone. When she went back to the doctor, I said, what have you taken? She can see clear, and up to today, she's quite fine up at the house. So, Roxanne, I would suggest to you, there is silent stress that we don't know about. You might be going on every day and say, me not stress, but remember you had incidents where you have people who pass. And they pass, you might have it on your head and not even conscious of the situation that you're stressing on them. They're going to leave you. So what I would suggest, the side can be reversed before it's too late. But what you have to do, remember the Bible tells us that God don't give us a spirit of fear or we must not, another thing. But the point is, if you can detect the problem that you have, not necessarily, you know you have the sugar, you know you have the sickness, but detect what can be stressing you. It's not that you actually know directly that it is, but as I mentioned before, it can be simple, the death of your family. You know, you're stressing on it, and me one, and all of that, and you know, you're stressing on it, so that's what trigger off the blindness. So you have to heal yourself by reversing. Anytime you start taking the medication, how you going to do that? Just probably give yourself a walk from even the house where you live. Go down to the beach and start walking. Try to take your mind off of get an aquarium with fish and look at the aquarium and say, man, look how God good. Just make them start swimming, and all of that will take back, will reverse the blindness. I'm telling you, God is that good. He can work that way.
Thank you so much. He mentioned stress. Stress is something that affects our entire system. And if you have diabetes, stress, yes, will throw your diabetes. So Oliver suggested some solutions for stress. Get an aquarium, and he might take you in as well. Yes, Oliver? Thank you so much for that. Yes,
well,
Donna.
it looks as if the Roxannes are unfortunate in that light. My daughter Roxanne too. She has high diabetes and she has high pressure. Now, the way she found out about her diabetes, she was working and she can't see. She cannot see. And she went to get glasses. And the optician, what them name? Yes, the eye doctor. Can't manage the big word sometimes. The eye doctor sent her to the doctor, the medical doctor, to have her eye, to get some tests done. And she was adamant that she want the glasses. You know, by the time she go to the doctor, the glasses what she get can't even see out again neither, you know. And so she had to do a lot of exercise and dieting. If you notice, so she looked whingy. So from that she went down. And she's not wearing glasses anymore. She's not, and it's been years now, she's not wearing glasses. But she still struggles with the high diabetes level. But as you say, I think it has to do with the exercise this time. I think she's not exercising, though she don't have on the weight, but I don't think she's exercising, you know. And she still struggles with pressure as well. But, you know, single mother and all of that. But I think it has to do with exercise and stress because I don't think she overeats. She don't even eat salt, you know. So, you know, so those are some of the things, yeah.
Thank you so much for that contribution. I hear exercise coming out. A lot of times we don't do that consistently, and our exercise classes have begun. We started from last week. So those at home who can walk down, we're having it this evening. And when you exercise, let's say you exercise for 45 minutes. I always say there's no need for more than 45 minutes. You do 45 minutes of intentional exercise. The benefits from that lingers a long time in the system. It does. Go ahead, Marlene.
I have a question, especially for Shanice. Just listening to you, I heard you talking about eating sweets and drinking the sugars. Is it possible for us to get diabetes from sweets?
It's not impossible.
Marlene, I can tell you that, take that concept out. Because when I just started analyzing my body and whatever I eat and what it does to my body, if I eat one sweetie and test my sugar after, it's going up. Right up.
All right, so just eating a sweetie won't say, okay, I'll get diabetes. There are a lot of factors. It can be genetic as well. So, for example, your mother has diabetes, the father or father person is diabetic. You have to watch yourself. You have to be careful of what to eat and what you do. So, eating a sweetie, it won't give you diabetes. It's over a time based on genetics, based on other things that you do that can bring on or you getting diabetes.
So let me add to that. Marlene, what scientists and research is showing now that because the diets of our children is not as it was before, where you get your cooked breakfast, you don't eat all sort of snack, you get your lunch and your dinner. So we ate 3 times a day. My parents didn't buy snacks and more snacks. But what is happening now, the children are not eating what we would call a proper meal. So they have a little portion of starch, and they have the protein, and they have the vegetables. Students consume 20 and 30 sweets. They eat it, they buy it with their money, and they have it. And so all of that sweets are building up in the body. You have a lot of calories from that. And guess what? What we eat nowadays is the excess starch, and the more starch, is causing our children to develop diabetes. Not that anything was wrong with their pancreases when they were born, not that they never had enough insulin. But the insulin that is now produced cannot manage the overload of sugar. And remember, the sugar that they're consuming is not complex sugar, you know. It's all these derivatives and artificial sweeteners and all of these other things that they put into these sweets.
Okay, Sister Joan, you mentioned much of what I wanted to say. But when we eat the meals, when we eat the high carbohydrate meal, with the bread and the dumpling and the sugar cane and the mango and the nesberry and the cup soup, all of that in one day, and we don't have any lettuce and any cabbage and any tomatoes and cucumbers, and we don't have enough water, then our body is filled with this excess sugar. Not sugar because it's sweet, but because that's how the body converts it for it to be absorbed into the bloodstream. So if there's an excess amount of carbohydrates turned sugar in the bloodstream, we're not working it off, we're not walking, we're jumping on elevators, we're jumping into a taxi, and we're sitting in the couch when we go home. So we're eating a lot, but we're not using up the things that we are eating. So it sits there in the body and turns disease. Yeah. Right? So that's what we have to deal with. So we have to, it's a lifestyle disease. So we have, let me say, condition. So that we have to use our lifestyles to reverse it. Now, one of the things I wanted to suggest, as Sister Roxanne spoke about it, and then Donna spoke about her Roxanne, and I'm sure that there are other persons within the congregation who have the same challenge, then I think we should begin, Sister Joan and Sister Shanice, a diabetes club. So that one of the best ways to help to manage, Sister Roxanne speaks many times that it's a challenge, it's a difficulty. Now, we don't understand it because we do not suffer that situation and have to deal with it, right? So the people who are familiar with the same thing, they form a group, a WhatsApp group with Roxanne and whoever else have diabetes. And you all communicate, have a group meeting, talk to each other so you can help each other. Where somebody is weak, the others go. The friends of Roxanne should go up to the hill and say, Roxanne, let's go down the hill and walk back up. Roxanne needs that kind of help, not a phone call to say, Roxanne, go down the hill and come back. She needs physical, literal help. And if we are going to help her, if we're not going to help her, God forbid, we might have to do something else which we don't want to do.
I appreciate
that. So that's the way to go.
Can I also add that I believe managing the risk factors are very important. Like, we have a lot of sedentary lifestyles now. We have small, our homes, no, we're not, when people buying land nowadays, you're not getting a big piece of land. You get a little something and you try to stretch out the house in the yard so you can have adequate room space. And as a result, everybody, you don't have anywhere outside to really play for the children much. And what happens is that they sit on the computers, everybody's on a computer, they don't get very active, they take the elevators. If they're going down the road, they take a cab. Things like that. We don't walk enough, we're not active enough. So those are actual risk factors for increasing your blood sugar levels. And the diet, The dieters will be eating a lot of sweet stuff, things with simple sugars that goes rush into the bloodstream quicker than the complex carbohydrates and stuff like that. So, and some of us don't rest enough. When you have diabetes, you have to get adequate rest. You have to eat well, try and exercise, avoid stress. These are actual risk factors of increasing your blood sugar level. And you have to take your medications as well. Or if you don't, I won't say that part, but take your medications as well and stuff like that, yeah.
Thank you, Nicole.
And keep positive, of course.
Thank you. So we have some solutions jumping out at us. So Barbara was in my head or something. I guess maybe that's why we're friends. Because I'm sitting here thinking, we talk about these things. And in Seventh-day Adventist Church, we have a lot to say. We have a lot of information. We have a lot of blessings in our church. But one of the things that we need to do, we're kind of poor at transferring these blessings. So Barbara, that idea, I was mulling over my head to shout it out. Form clubs. So we have an exercise club going. 10 diabetics are in here, so to speak. I hope it's less than that. You know that Saturday nights is exercise night. The 10 of you who are in that particular club will come to the exercise class together. You encourage each other to come. True or false? Yes, man, let's start working it out. Let us not only have a talk this evening, but after this, right, Brother Bernard? Brother Bernard, our elder, will be instrumental in helping us with the change. So we form that club. We start with the exercise. So what about the water drinking? All right, so as a Sabbath school unit, why don't we have a competition with units that, and that this week, right? And we see how much water those 3 units consume. We do it together, exchange phone numbers. It's time for us to do these little, let me stop talking. Somebody has a thought there.
Roxanne, I don't have diabetes, but I understand what you are saying. In 2011, I was diagnosed with a sickness. And over the years, I neglected it until I started doing some research. Even yesterday, I was researching. I'm saying this to say that you have to be committed. I listen to you and I hear you and you say, yeah, we love to eat. We love to eat, especially Jamaican food. We are going to eat it. But you have to be committed. And you have to get a plan and stick to it. Yesterday, I did Thursday night, I did a gallbladder flush. So that took me all the way through yesterday. And I didn't eat anything. I didn't feel hungry. All I had was coconut water and fruits. And my daughter cooked in the day. I was in the kitchen. I even shared some of the food for my son, and she said to me, Mommy, how you do it? But when you know that you are sick and you know that this sickness can take your life, you have to do a 360 and you have to be committed. This morning when I woke up, I'm supposed to make a juice every morning. It's a phytonutrient juice with green apples and stuff. I wasn't doing it for a while, so since I did the flush, I decided I'm going to start doing it again. When I took out the juice and I prepared the stuff, juice are not working. So tears come on my eye. Come here and say, God, I want to start being more committed than I was before. And here I am, prepared the stuff, they're on the counter, and I'm ready to do this, and it's not working. And I said, God, please, I beg you, make it work. And by the time I said that, the Lord said to me, look at the box. There's an iron on the juicer that I was not flipping the other way. And when I flipped it, the juicer started working. You have to be committed. You have to make a change. You have to research the things that you're not supposed to eat. Try your best not to eat them. It doesn't mean that you're not going to slip up, because I slip up sometime. Last year I decided I wasn't going to drink any processed juice, no orange juice, all of those stuff that I'm used to. And now if I buy it, I just put it down. I can't drink it. So you have to try and reach to that point where you are committed.
Thank you so much. And so we're making you, sis, the researcher. All right, so here we have a research club. We're going to start a research club. And so I have your names in my head, you know, and I'm good with contacting. And we're going to have a diabetic club. We already started our exercise club, all right? And so we have to be intentional and encourage each other to be intentional, because it doesn't make sense we have these talks always and then we go home. All right, so I cannot take very many hands. So those who have not spoken as yet, I'll take the hands. So I see 2 hands. And sir, go ahead.
Well, if you ask me what worked for me when it comes to stress, Roxanne, it's exercise. I find myself so stressed that I was just sitting on my veranda, see planes land and get up, and I couldn't sleep. Yes? And that time I find myself so stressed that a sore developed inside here. Exercise solved that problem for me. But one is got to be disciplined when you want cure for whatever disease you have. You cannot say, me can't do it. If you want to get better, you must discipline yourself to take whatever medicine available for you to be cured. If you tell yourself that me can't do it, that's a defeatist attitude, and you will forever have the problem.
So one of the things I suggest now is Roxanne and many others, they have challenges. It is not easy to deal with illness and setbacks. So what we need to do, people, is to find a person in the church. There are persons in the church who can encourage and inspire you. Now, I do hope the conversation and the thoughts that Roxanne shared have inspired many of us.
Yes.
Maybe we don't have diabetes or we don't have any illness, but we know others who have. So there are strong persons. Donna spoke. Brother Elder is speaking. Our researcher spoke. There are people in the church who will, Barbara spoke, there are people in the church who will help you. Don't say, I won't call Joan Dixon because I don't want her to know that I have cancer. Call me. Call me. You have diabetes and you don't know who to call. Call Roxanne. She's had it for years. Work it out together. We have to start changing some of these things that beset us, because it's the same things that's going to kill us.
Yes. And where do we start the change? Listen, my problem. There is a generation that is here now. I will not say coming up, because they are here now. Their parents, brethren, their parents give them money to go at tasty and juicy beef for morning time to go and buy breakfast.
All right, so hold on, Brother Bernard. Hold on right there. So listen to me now, everybody. We're not going down that road. We're not going down the tasty road and the, no. The road that we're on today is change our lifestyle. Some people need help. So we are helping each other to move forward, Sabbath school class by Sabbath school class. Next pointer.
Yes, so I am saying, what happened to the whole days when your parents used to get up and provide a wholesome meal for their children? What happened to it? It's gone. So what we have now, for instance, when you look at the school gate, people have bag juice selling there, talking about sugar. And early morning, the children are buying the bag juice before they go to class. As time goes by, what kind of health habits are these children going to develop? If we want change, we must start there. Roxanne did not become a diabetic overnight. The nurse said some of it is hereditary, but some of it is what we have created ourselves. So if we want change, we got to go back to the whole path.
Thank you, sir.
A little cornmeal porridge is better than the bag juice or the well-spiced patty or the chips and those sweet beverages that is bought early in the morning. As time goes by, this is where your bad habit helps you to go to the doctor. I mean, when you're young, you eat what you want to eat, eh? And as soon as you reach a certain age, even younger than Roxanne, the doctor start telling you what to eat.
So, sir, we are going to assign you for one of the clubs. All right, so I am not in a joke. So in terms of the chips and all those things, no, just to correct you, in schools, government do not allow sweet drinks anymore. So if any school, even at the school gate.
It is at the school gate.
Even at the school gate, it's because the principal has not checked the stock as yet. So they're not allowed to sell that at the school gate. All right? So there's a plus to helping our kids. Now, I have one final thought. Mr. Allen, please take the microphone.
As Roxanne said, it is easier said than done. I don't really have medical issue, but I am sure if doctor tell me tomorrow, say I'm diabetic, I would not want to stop eating mangoes because I love mangoes dearly. So it is very difficult. But what I would recommend too is just, you have to be disciplined and you have to, because, well, for me, I'm very disciplined. But if I hear about the diabetes and the mango, I don't know I'm going to work that out yet. But it is good for us to get our regular checks. Annually, go to the doctor, get your blood work done. So at least if something is happening, you can pick it up from early. The earlier you find out, is the easier you'll be able to deal with it. So I would recommend that we try and get our blood works or visit the doctor at least once per year.
All right, thank you. So we're not leaving off the online viewers. Sister Carrie-Ann Thompson said, why should be a no-no for diabetics? Ernest Graham says, honey, the natural sugar from fruits and berries do not hurt any. The artificial flavoring, those are the things which are killing our nation. Our stress levels can make your sugar levels very high and go through the roof. That's from Barbara Panton. Ernest Graham continues to say, all right, let's see that one. Christine Lawrence says, Roxanne, you need to go to Brother Oliver's house. All right, Carmen Bigby says, small portions of whole wheat rice, okay with moderation. She's a borderline diabetic. I don't take sugar, I drink only hot water for my tea and a lot of vegetables. Fruits, walk a lot, try drink hot water. And the encouraging that Sister Barbara made a good suggestion. And intermittent fasting is also good. Have an accountability partner. That's from Christine Lawrence. Make cornmeal porridge, cook green banana and callaloo. Give the children them in the mornings. If you don't have any time, try to do it overnight. And the last one, Carmen Bigby, says, I don't drink processed juice. No sugar, no meat, never smoke, no fast food, no relationship. My body is to serve the Lord. And that is the optimum goal. Our body is to serve the Lord. I apologize on behalf of Auntie Joan, she had to leave. But to close, let's give us a 1 minute encouragement for those who are diabetic. What can we do to cope for those who are diabetic and those who are not to prevent themselves from being diabetic? Sorry.
Okay. Well, to prevent it, you can start by trying to eat properly. Count your carbohydrates that you have, because they're the ones that really, in your drink and your food, your hard, solid food, they're the ones that will break down into glucose. So you manage that well. Eat a lot of vegetables. Part up your plate and eat a lot of vegetables, right? That won't so much flood your bloodstream with a lot of sugars. And it's healthy and it will help to keep you fuller. And to sleep, manage your stress level. have some activity, some exercise program going. If it's even run up and down the step or walk on the spot, skipping is good exercise, things like that. And avoid stress as well, and trust God.
Yes. God is interested in every aspect of our lives. He gives us a manual. He is the one who made us. Let us stick to the things that are natural, those that are made by Him, and cut out all refined food. Now we can do that not by ourselves, but through His strength. He promised that He will help us, and He is going to do that. He says He will provide for all of our needs, and that means giving us strength to overcome.
And remember to take your medication on time, eat on time, drink a lot of water, and exercise.
All right, and remember, new start: nutrition, exercise, water, air, rest, temperance, trusting God. Also, be accountable for each other. Sunshine. Right. Thank you. And be accountable for each other. Each one, reach one, teach one. If you see somebody going down the road, help them up. Don't wash them on the side and say, no, help each other up. And it's good for each other. We can both learn, not for ourselves alone, but for each other. So I thank you very much for joining us and being so cooperative and interesting and participating and interacting in our discussion. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining. Those online as well, thank you for joining us. Now we will turn over to the person responsible for Vespers.
Good evening. Mic check, mic check. 1, 2, mic check. Okay, good. So I won't be standing here too long to talk. I won't be saying too much because a lot has been said. But we're going to turn our hymnals to 330. Take my life and let it be. We're going to sing the first verse. I'm going to read a scripture, and then we will sing the rest, and I'll pray. Yes, please. Take my life and let it be consecrated, Lord, to Thee. Take my hands and let them move at the impulse of Thy love, at the impulse of Thy love. Now, this reading comes from Psalms 54, verse 4, that says, Behold, God is my helper. The Lord is the upholder of my life. We know that a lot of times, even with the disciples, Jesus was on the same boat, but yet, as soon as certain circumstance comes, then where was their faith? They lose it. Or they put it aside, or they did not recognize that Jesus was with them. This week, I want us to go out and remember that in every situation, God is always there. It's just for us to realize, to reach out, and to acknowledge that something worse could have happened. But because Jesus is in the vessel, we can smile at the storm as we go sailing on. A lot was said this afternoon. So some of us, we will go out after today and we will change our eating habits. We will start to exercise. We will start to call some people for encouragement. and to do what is right. And let us live like a family of God. We are living in a time right now that we need each other. No man is an island. No man stands alone. And this is something that we must go out this week and remember. Thank you. Let us sing 2 more verses and then I'll pray.
Take my feet and let them be swift and beautiful for thee. Take my voice and let me sing, always only for my King, always only for my King.
Verse 3.
Take my lips and let them be filled with messages from thee. Take my silver and my gold, not a mine would I withhold, not a mine would I withhold.
Let us pray. Father in heaven, we truly want to give you thanks for a well-spent day in your sanctuary. We thank you, Lord, that you have been with us. We thank you so much that you have sent Jesus Christ to die on Calvary so that we can have a second chance of life. We ask now, Father, that as we go, we know that we have sick among us and we have persons that will not give heed to the words. But help us, Lord, that when we go out, we may be a beacon to someone. And so that our lives that we live, someone will see you through what we do and what we say, that they will come to lift up your names on high. Bless us, dear Father, and go with us. And be with our families, be with our friends, be with each and every one of us as we go. Bless us and keep us. Now and forevermore, I pray. Amen.
Savior, breathe on me.